Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis, and it is mid-March. I've been going through some of my catasetums that need repotting and kind of making changes. So ideally, you pot so that your catasetums can grow for about 2 seasons, and that's regardless whether you do the sort of traditional potting in bark and or sphagnum, or whether you're doing the PET method, which is my preference. But the plants don't always accommodate that schedule. Sometimes, if your plant is right up against the side of the pot, you're expecting its growth to start over here, but it actually starts right up against the pot. So the plant hasn't technically outgrown its pot. It's right at the edge there, so you have to repot it. Other times, you can have a catasetum or a Cycnoces or one of the many genera that are in this group. You can, you can get a growth like this, which is frustrating. So what do? So this is actually Cycnoces herrenhusanum. This is one that I got from Miami at the Miami show in October 2021. When I brought it home, I guess I left it outside and it got a little cool at night, and the bottom rotted. But the majority of this bulb is still good. So I kind of figured that it would start at a weird place. Sometimes they can start basically anywhere along these nodes. So ideally it's just a normal plant and it comes out the bottom and you pot it that way. But sometimes this happens. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I plan to pot this one. And I'm going to explain 2 different ways that you can pot, and then I'll show you the version that I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the camera above my hands so that you can see what I'm doing, and let's get potting. All right, so let's get started. So there's not a whole lot of ingredients to this. The first, of course, is the plant with the questionable growth. You can see I got this at Orquifoyer, which may or may not be useful to you. I thought they had a great selection of catasetums when I was at the show, so I look forward to seeing them again. The other thing that I have are zip ties. Zip ties are especially useful for tying down your plants, but they are also especially ugly. So I understand why some people are not a huge fan of using them. I personally am a function over form kind of a guy, as you can see by my pot. But if you have a different method for tying down your plants, go for it. So this is the pot. So I'm going to, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use the PET method. So what I plan to do, actually what I did is I cut the top off this bottle. I took an electric soldering iron and poked holes here, here, and here, and then I cut notches here in the pot itself. And for those of you who are not familiar with what an electronic soldering iron looks like, this is what it is. It gets very, very hot. All right, it's cooled down. It gets very, very hot at the tip here, and what I like to do is just take this and poke holes. Makes putting holes in plastic very, very easy, but I would recommend doing this outside since this, as you can imagine, smells terrible. So the next step is to put a little bit of cypress mulch. This is my media of choice. So you can have some inorganic media at the bottom. That's where the water well is going to be. I use EcoWeb or EpiWeb. I can't really remember which one it's called, but it's a recycled plastic product. You can use rocks or anything, styrofoam chips or styrofoam peanuts that don't break down in water. There's all kinds of things you can use. And then I like to put the cypress mulch on top. You can see this is not a particularly high grade of wood, but it is a hardwood, so that's important to me. I want a hardwood in the bottom, or as the organic media here. The catasetums in their group don't need good wood. They don't need high quality stuff. My earlier videos I used the EpiWeb here in the bottom, then Orchiata here, and then Sphagnum on top, and that was really expensive, and it just wasn't needed. These guys don't need high quality wood. They don't need their roots to dry out during the growing season, so I downgraded, saved some money, and I get just as good of plants. So now that I have created this, I'm actually going to take this guy and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to use zip ties to zip tie this down. Actually, I'm going to fill up a little bit more wood here. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds, but they are really singing their hearts out today. It is a nice, beautiful spring day here in Texas. You know, actually, before I finish this, I should say that there's a couple different ways I could do this. I could very easily just bury this, like this here in the corner, and then fill up the mulch around the base here. These guys don't really rot when they're buried. They're really tough bulbs, and even if it does, you know, it's not going to rot within a season. So having it sort of tucked into the system or the media like this is just fine. Like I said, I'm gonna do it this way. I like this way. I'm probably gonna tilt it a little bit this way, so that as the roots go down, they're growing this way, and then of course the new growth itself will grow up. Ideally, this new growth is as far in the middle as you can get it, or as I can get it. This time, I think I'm just going to catch the edge here of the bulb. As you can imagine, this is not super easy while filming. And I want to rotate this like this and really cinch it down pretty good. So my plant is in there like this. I'm going to do the same for this side and really cinch it down. Now these new growths are super easy to break off. Like, I could just pop that off so easily, which means my next task will have to be careful and really I'll have to pay a lot of attention so that I don't break off the new growth, and I've done that many times before. It is very frustrating, and you know, when you have a bulb like this that's only a single bulb, it's not in the greatest shape, you really want to be delicate with that new growth. So if this plant had more bulbs on it, I probably wouldn't mind actually popping it off, because I would get probably two coming back. But with the current state of this plant, I do not recommend that. So I need to be very careful. Hopefully I'm not filming something going wrong. In fact, in retrospect, maybe I should have filled this all the way to the top and done it that way. In fact, that would probably be the smartest way to do it. So don't be like me, folks. Don't do it the dumb way. Do it the smart way. Okay, so I'm going to take some snips and get these obnoxious looking whiskers off, but that's it. Go like this so you can see it. That's what it looks like. And that, I think, will be very, very successful. Hopefully this time next year, I'll have a brand new growth that's very tall, and you guys will see blooms on it this coming fall. But that's it. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.